You see, when we talk about the concept of let them miss you, what we're really talking about is energy. Where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, are we constantly giving our energy to someone else, hoping they notice us, hoping they validate our worth? Energy is everything. It flows where your attention goes, and this is the fundamental law that shapes your reality. When you place your focus on something, you direct your energy toward it. And the more energy you give, the more life you breathe into that experience. It doesn't matter whether what you're focusing on is empowering or disempowering, positive or negative. The universe doesn't discriminate between what you want and what you don't want. It simply follows the direction of your focus. This is why it's so crucial to become aware of where your attention is going. We live in a world full of distractions. There are constant demands for our time, energy, and focus. The challenge isn't that there's not enough energy to go around. The challenge is that we're often not intentional about where we direct it. Too often, we let our energy be scattered, and as a result, we feel depleted, drained, and disconnected from our true power. We might focus on the fear of being left out, the desire for someone's approval, or the worry about how we're perceived. And every time we do that, we give away our energy. When you constantly focus on external circumstances, whether that's the way someone else is treating you or the attention you crave from them, you are, in effect, leaking your power. You're investing your energy into something you can't control, which is their thoughts, their behaviors, and their reactions. But here's the thing, the more you chase after someone else's approval or attention, the more you push it away. Why? Because you're operating from a place of lack. And lack is a very low frequency state. The truth is, when you redirect your focus inward toward your own growth, your own expansion, your own fulfillment, you reclaim that scattered energy. It no longer leaks out into the world grasping for validation, but instead gets concentrated within you. This is the moment you shift from being dependent on external factors to being completely in control of your internal world. By shifting your attention away from others and focusing on your own growth and potential, you're not only conserving energy, you're amplifying it. That energy begins to accumulate and create momentum. It turns inward, fueling your creativity, your clarity, and your sense of purpose. This is how you start to attract new possibilities and new experiences that resonate with your higher state of being. It's not just about ignoring what's happening outside of you. It's about mastering your inner environment. You begin to realize that where you place your focus is where your energy expands. When you focus on things that uplift you on your personal evolution, on your vision for your future, on the life you want to create, your energy becomes magnetic. You're no longer chasing, you're attracting. The beauty of this shift is that as your energy grows and becomes more aligned, you naturally attract attention, validation, and relationships that resonate with this higher state. But they come as a byproduct, not the primary aim. You stop needing people to miss you or seek you out because you're so deeply anchored in your own being that their presence or absence doesn't dictate your sense of worth. Emotional independence is one of the most powerful states a person can achieve. It is the ability to find peace, fulfillment, and validation within yourself, rather than seeking it from external sources, whether that's from people, situations, or circumstances. In a world that constantly bombards us with the idea that our worth is tied to how others perceive us, stepping into emotional independence is a radical act of self-empowerment. It's not about detaching from others or becoming indifferent. It's about reclaiming your energy and realizing that no one else can dictate your emotional state but you. When you rely on others for your emotional well-being, you hand over your power. You become dependent on how they treat you, how they view you, and what they say about you. Your mood rises and falls based on external events, and that can leave you feeling unstable, insecure, and at the mercy of forces you can't control. But when you cultivate emotional independence, you begin to understand that your happiness, confidence, and peace are internal states that no one else can truly provide for you. Think about this: emotions are energy in motion. When you allow others to control how you feel, you're allowing them to control your energy, your vitality. When someone's opinion affects your mood or someone's actions determine your day, you're giving away your life force. Emotional independence is about taking back that energy. It's about deciding that you, and only you, are responsible for how you feel. It's a realization that no amount of praise or criticism can change your inner state unless you allow it to. This process begins with self-awareness. You must become aware of when and why you allow others to affect your emotional state. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? What am I seeking from this person? Often, the need for validation comes from a sense of lack within ourselves. We believe that if someone else approves of us, then we are worthy. But that's an illusion. Emotional independence requires you to shift that belief. You must come to understand that your worth is inherent. It is not something that can be given or taken away by anyone else. The moment you realize this, you become free. Free from the need to chase approval, free from the fear of rejection, free from the anxiety of losing someone's attention. When you achieve emotional independence, you stop reacting to the world around you and you start creating the world within you. You no longer rely on someone else to make you feel loved, valued, or whole. Instead, you cultivate those feelings from within. And here's the paradox: when you stop needing others to complete you, you become infinitely more attractive. People are naturally drawn to those who don't need their approval to feel good. You become magnetic because your energy is stable, confident, and self-sufficient. Emotional independence doesn't mean you don't care about others or that you're shutting people out. It means you can engage with people from a place of fullness rather than neediness. You can give without expecting anything in return. You can love without fear. Because your sense of worth is no longer tied to someone else's response. You understand that your happiness is your responsibility, and no one else's actions or opinions have the power to take that away from you. This is the ultimate freedom. It's not about shutting down emotionally or being indifferent to others. It's about knowing that you are enough, that you are whole, regardless of what anyone else thinks or does. Imagine this: we are all energetic beings, constantly radiating a field of energy that affects the world around us. Now, the more we focus on someone, the more of our energy we are sending in their direction. In the process, we might find ourselves pouring so much energy into another person or situation that we become depleted, leaving little energy for ourselves. The result? Our energy becomes scattered, and we feel like we've lost our center. This is where the power of absence comes in. When you step back, when you remove your energy from someone or something, you create space. And in that space, something magical happens. Clarity emerges. It's an absence that value is often realized. Think about how you feel when something you use every day suddenly goes missing. You didn't notice how important it was until it was no longer there. The same applies to people. When you're constantly present, your energy becomes expected, almost taken for granted. But when you remove yourself from the equation, others are given the opportunity to truly notice the void that you leave behind. Absence isn't just about physical distance, it's about emotional and energetic distance as well. When you withdraw your energy and stop constantly giving it to others, you allow them to feel the absence of your presence. This creates a sense of longing, a natural human response to realizing that something valuable is no longer readily available. By stepping away, you're allowing them to see your worth in a new light, free from the noise and distractions of everyday interactions. But it's not just about them, it's about you. Absence grants you time and space to focus inward, to redirect the energy you've been giving to others back to yourself. In doing so, you're not just creating a void for them to fill with thoughts of you, you're also filling yourself with something far more valuable: personal growth and transformation. You become more centered, more aligned with who you truly are, and more aware of the power you hold within. In the space created by your absence, you start to regain clarity on your own energy. You begin to understand that you are not dependent on external validation or constant interaction to feel whole. Instead, you realize that your presence is a gift, something valuable and rare. And as you embody this understanding, your energy naturally shifts. You stop chasing, you stop needing, and you start attracting. Your absence turns into a force of magnetism. This is because when you take a step back, the dynamic changes. Suddenly, you're no longer the one giving endlessly, you've become someone who gives sparingly. And that scarcity increases the perceived value of your energy. I think of it like a supply and demand equation. When your presence becomes less frequent, its value rises. People start to notice what they didn't appreciate before. They begin to wonder what you're doing, where you've gone, and why your attention is no longer directed toward them. But this shift isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about realigning your energy so that you're no longer dependent on others for your sense of worth. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remove yourself, not out of anger or resentment, but out of a deep understanding that your energy is precious and shouldn't be given away so freely. In this process, you become a more empowered, more self-aware version of yourself. And in that empowerment, you become magnetic. People are naturally drawn to those who know their worth and don't seek validation from others. By stepping away, you create the space for others to come to you, to miss you, and to appreciate you in ways they never could when you were constantly available. When you decide to step back from someone or something, it's not about playing games or manipulating circumstances. It's about giving yourself the space to grow. Stepping back is an act of self-respect, an act of self-preservation, and most importantly, an act of transformation. You are not just giving the other person room to see what life feels like without you. You are giving yourself the opportunity to transform into the highest version of who you can be. When you remove yourself from the constant need to be seen or validated by others, what happens? You begin to reclaim the energy you've been leaking outward. You stop pouring your energy into the external and start directing it inward, where true change happens. It's easy to get caught up in needing attention, in seeking validation, and in constantly showing up in someone else's world. But when you pull back, when you stop trying to chase or force connection, something remarkable occurs. You get to work on yourself. In this space of stillness, you start to see where your focus has been misplaced. You start to understand that you've been giving away pieces of yourself, scattering your energy in directions that don't serve your growth. And once you recognize this, you can shift. You can take that scattered energy and pull it back into you. You begin to channel it into areas that create real transformation, your physical health, your emotional well-being, your mental clarity. You no longer spend your days wondering what someone else is thinking or feeling about you. Instead, you ask yourself, how do I feel about myself? Where can I evolve? This is the key to self-transformation. You stop living in reaction to the external world and start creating from the inside out. You start shaping your own identity, your own path, your own life. The moment you shift your focus inward, you begin to unlock a version of yourself that has been waiting to emerge, one that is no longer dependent on others for validation, but is self-sustained, self-sufficient, and empowered. You start to realize that the validation you were so hungry for was always available within you, waiting for you to recognize it. As you focus on this inward journey, you begin to change, and when you change, the energy you radiate out into the world changes as well. The more you evolve, the more magnetic you become. You are no longer chasing anyone's attention. Instead, you are cultivating an energy that draws people toward you effortlessly. When you focus on your personal growth, whether it's learning new skills, adopting healthier habits, or simply mastering your own emotions, you become a different person. And as this new person emerges, others can't help but notice the shift. They may not understand it fully, but they'll feel it. They'll sense that something about you has changed, that you've become more grounded, more confident, more self-assured. In the process of self-transformation, you don't just change for yourself, you change the dynamics of your relationships. The absence of your old self, the one who is always readily available, always seeking validation, creates a void. And in that void, others are given the space to see your value in a new light. They get to experience what life feels like without your constant presence. They get to reflect on your worth, your contribution, your energy. But the beauty of this is that you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. The byproduct is that as you become more whole, more aligned, you naturally draw on the kinds of relationships and experiences that match your new state of being. This self-transformation isn't about fixing yourself because you're broken. It's about evolving because you are limitless. It's about realizing that the more you grow, the more potential you unlock, not just in yourself, but in every area of your life. You step into a higher frequency, and in doing so, you elevate everything and everyone around you. And in that process, people who once took you for granted begin to see your value in ways they couldn't before. When you step back from constantly seeking attention, you allow yourself to cultivate something far more powerful than the need for validation of magnetic presence. This is not about physical attraction or superficial charm. It's about energy, frequency, and alignment with your true self. You see, when you are constantly in pursuit, whether of people, opportunities, or validation, you are essentially sending out a signal of lack. You're telling the universe and everyone around you that you don't feel complete on your own, that something is missing. And as a result, you repel the very things you desire. But when you step into a space of wholeness, of self-worth that isn't dependent on external factors, your energy changes. You begin to emit a frequency that is irresistible. Why? Because you're no longer chasing. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of need. Instead, you're aligned with the energy of abundance, of fulfillment. And this is what draws people in, whether they are aware of it consciously or not. It's a shift from doing to being. When you are no longer trying to prove yourself, when you stop craving acknowledgement, you become a source of calm, a source of grounded energy that others naturally gravitate toward. Think of it like the difference between a magnet and static electricity. Static is unpredictable, frantic, jumping from one thing to another, always looking for something to cling to. But a magnet just is. It doesn't need to chase after things. It simply draws them in, and it does so effortlessly. This is what happens when you stop chasing and start embodying. The people around you, whether it's a friend, a colleague, or a romantic interest, will begin to notice that something has shifted. They may not be able to articulate it, but they will feel it. There's a mystery that surrounds someone who doesn't need external validation. They begin to wonder why you no longer seek their approval, why you've become so centered, so sure of yourself. And that mystery, that sense of completeness, becomes incredibly attractive. We are energetic beings. Everything we do, everything we feel, every thought we think sends out a vibration. When your energy is scattered, when you're constantly reaching outward for something, people sense that on a subconscious level. But when you gather your energy, when you bring it back into yourself and focus on your own growth, your own evolution, you send out a very different signal. That signal says, I am enough, I am whole as I am, and I don't need anything from anyone. And that's when people start missing you. They start to feel the absence of your energy because it's no longer flowing toward them in the same way. You become an energetic magnet, not through force or effort, but through the art of being. And in this state, everything you desire, people, opportunities, abundance begins to come to you. Not because you're chasing after it, but because you've aligned with the frequency of receiving. That's the true power of magnetic presence. When we talk about manifesting with intention, we are diving deep into the quantum field of possibilities. Everything in the universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies, and so are our thoughts, emotions, and desires. The act of manifesting with intention is not about hoping or wishing for something to happen. It's about aligning yourself so deeply with the future you desire that your entire being begins to resonate at the frequency of that vision. The first step in this process is clarity. You must have a clear, specific intention. Many people move through life in a state of indecision, unsure of what they want, allowing life to happen to them instead of actively creating it. But the truth is, if your intention is scattered or unclear, your energy will be too. You are essentially sending mixed signals into the quantum field, and as a result, the experiences you attract will also be scattered. Clarity is like setting the GPS for your future. You can't reach a destination if you don't know where you're going. Now, after gaining clarity on your vision, the next step is to generate the emotional state of already having achieved it. This is a crucial aspect of manifesting with intention. You see, the quantum field responds to the energy you're broadcasting, not just your thoughts, but more importantly, your emotions. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you become a magnet for the experiences, people, and opportunities that align with that energy. You are no longer operating from the energy of lack or neediness. Instead, you're stepping into a state of being where you feel as though your desires have already manifested. The key is to feel the gratitude, the joy, the love, or the empowerment that comes from that vision before it shows up in your reality. Most people wait for something external to change before they feel these emotions, but when you manifest with intention, you reverse the process. You feel the elevated emotions first, which then signals to the quantum field to organize events in your life to match that frequency. This is why it's said that you don't chase what you want, you attract it. You don't run after your desires, you become the frequency that brings them to you. At the same time, you must be willing to release control over how and when your intention will manifest. This part is often the most challenging because the mind is conditioned to seek certainty and control outcomes. But manifesting with intention isn't about micromanaging the universe. It's about trusting the process and surrendering the need to know every detail. The quantum field operates beyond the limits of time and space, so the how and when are not your concern. Your role is to align with your intention, stay in the elevated emotional state, and then allow the universe to orchestrate the details in ways you could never predict. A critical piece of this practice is staying aligned with your intention, even when reality hasn't yet caught up. There might be moments of doubt or impatience, but the more you reaffirm your emotional state and focus on your vision, the more momentum you build. In these moments of uncertainty, it's essential to remember that reality is often a lagging indicator. The external world takes time to catch up to the internal shifts you've made. The more you stay committed to your vision, the faster reality will reflect it. And finally, while manifesting with intention is about attracting experiences into your life, it's also a process of transformation. As you elevate your energy and vibrate at higher frequencies, you begin to shed the old, limiting beliefs and emotional patterns that no longer serve you. You become a new person, aligned with a higher version of yourself. It's not just about getting what you want. It's about becoming the person who naturally attracts those experiences into their life.